Our topic today is going to be collaborative writing. Now, this is going to fall under the umbrella of our final project called One City, Many Stories. Now, unlike the assignments you've done up until this point in the semester, this is going to be a team writing activity, collaborative. It could be in small groups or the entire class, depending on what you all decide. So first of all, what does collaborative writing look like? Now, you might imagine it's going to be something where each of you sits down and you're pitching ideas. Each one of you has a little bit of, your own flavor. Obviously, you've been cultivating skills all semester long. You've got all your ideas. You're going to sit down, combine them all. It's going to go really effortlessly. But in reality, what the process is most likely going to assume is you're going to have an idea, and you have an idea on how this person should, make their idea better. But they have their own idea for what they want to do. And in fact, maybe they don't even like your idea. And then over here, these two have collaborated. They're writing a story that, or writing stories that take place in the same world. This person over here hates group work. So this is more of what this project is actually going to resemble, because each of you has your own opinions and you've been building your own voice over this semester. But the goal is for this project to maintain the voice you have for your own writing, but to take your ideas and combine them to build something greater than the sum of its parts there. My goal for this exercise is for each of you to have your own ideas. And maybe, like I said, they're all going to look very different. But the overall goal is for all of this to essentially come together, for all of these to play together, to find some kind of harmony within your project. Now, I will help you with this every step of the way. Now, what we have to do is before you come to class, go and fill each section of this out as I explain it to you. This is our One City, Many Stories blueprint. Each one of you is going to fill this out. Now, this blueprint contains 4 separate parts. So number 1, before you come to class tomorrow and we begin this activity, the first thing you should think about is the history of the world. Now, in this project, we're going to be writing about a city, and your group has to decide what that city is. Is it something in our reality? Is it New York City? Is it something that's more fantastical? Is it a flying city in a weird fantasy world? Is it a futuristic city? Is it Tokyo in the year 2070, where it's rooted in reality, but it's actually a science fiction variant? Each one of you are going to, independently of your group, fill this out. There's no wrong answer. You can write based on whatever genre you want. But think of your world as a genre. Is it realistic? Is it fantasy, horror, etc.? Now, once you establish your world, the next thing I want you to think about is going to be the history of your city. So within this world, what is this city look like? Now, the ground rules for this are it has to be a major metropolis. It can't just be a city in the boonies here. We want something where this is a city where there is some kind of importance. It could be infamous, it could be famous, it could be a smaller city, but maybe there was an accident nearby that brought it to relevance or prominence. But we're thinking you're looking at least 100,000 people, okay? Just so that there's enough going on in this city for everyone's ideas to kind of coexist. What you're going to want to do next is think about the historical events that made an impact. Especially you're thinking in the last 25 years, what has happened in this city? And the reason for that is that we want to use this to then think about the cultural shape. And when I say cultural shape, I mean what is going on in the city, music-wise, theater-wise, pop culture, political culture. All of this is going to be made up of all these other factors as well. Now, once you have this filled out, the last step is you're going to then make sense of your ideas as a group. Sit down and share your ideas. Put each element in these spaces below here, and then what we're going to end up using these for is when you're in class and we're making sense of your ideas, we're essentially going to take all of the randomness as you look all over the page. You're all going to have different ideas that maybe might not quite make as much sense. What we're going to do is get them all down on the page here, because then finally your group is going to agree on these characteristics, and we're going to actually then, as a group, figure out what does your city, does your world look like? Now, even if you're thinking, well, I'm writing fantasy, someone else is writing a horror story, or they're writing a super science fiction story far in the future, and mine is 1940s New York City, you're going to have to come to some kind of agreement on how you're going to make this work. They could be different time versions of your city across time. That's all up to you, okay? But you're eventually going to have to make some tough decisions and come to some kind of conclusion here, because we're going to use this, essentially your final city. We're going to be using this for the next step in our project.